What's up, everybody? My name is Zach. Welcome to Tech Gear. It's been about a year and a half, maybe a little more, since I made my video on how I converted a space in my RV into a gaming / YouTube setup. There hasn't been much YouTube going on because if you've seen how much space I have left after having this tripod in here, you'd probably laugh. It's ridiculous. So it's been a little shy on the YouTube part of it, but I have done some gaming here. What little bit of space I do have, but I wanted to give everybody who may have seen that video or is thinking about doing a setup like this maybe some insight and kind of a review of how it's worked out for me. I'll also give a tour of what I'm using on the desk now. It's a little different than how I set it up initially. If you care to see that, just stick around till later in the video. But jumping right into it, there's a few different things I want to talk about that maybe you've considered or maybe you've looked past it on accident when coming up with an idea of like this right here for your RV. The first thing that I want to stress really hard on is dust. It gets extremely dusty in here. Even though you clean running fans and having like a closed area, during the winter I'll put extra insulation boards up in my cutouts where my ceiling fan or where my exhaust fan is, just to help kind of keep some of the warmth in the vehicle. And it really cuts back on air circulation. So this whole thing does not have a vent, kind of like a house would, where you have a filter in it. The only time you can filter air like that is when you're running your air conditioning units. So something to think about is going to get extremely dusty. I blew my PC out about 2 days ago, and it was disgusting. It was so bad. I'm surprised the thing was still working. It's pretty amazing. So you really want to take into consideration that you're going to have to do routine maintenance on it to keep it running like it should, because it sucks to dust in. The next big thing to take into consideration, and as you would already probably know, is temperature. It gets really cold in here and it gets really hot in here, and your PC and your setup, it needs to breathe. So I have my PC down under the desk. That's where it works best for me. My desk isn't big enough to put it up top. I would 100 million times rather have it up here than on the floor, but I made a dolly so it's not sitting on carpet, obviously. But the circulation and what it picks up off the floor in here is bad. So the higher you get it, the better off you'll be. But I have had an instance tucking it down there like I have it where the computer actually overheated. It's a water-cooled closed loop system, and it probably has safety measures to where it shut my machine off whenever it got so hot, but that's never occurred on any other type of surface and airflow situation. So something to think about is how hot it gets in here. And also, while we're on the subject of temperature, my setup is in the middle of a slide out. So with that being said, the slide out comes off of the trailer, and up under it is complete air. There's nothing, no support under it. There's just arms from the trailer holding the slide out up. And you can imagine that having that much more airflow and space up under it, there's a lot more air that gets up under it and kind of makes your feet cold. So I have foam insulation board on the outside of my camper, which helps kind of block off some of the wind. It doesn't help much on temperature, but it keeps it from getting any worse. That is a good idea if you plan to put your setup in a slide like I did. Now the next thing I want to touch on is the placement of whatever you build. I thought long and hard about it before I started my process and ended up going a completely different direction almost last minute, and that is because of how my RV is set up. I have a back bedroom. It's a bunkhouse RV, and the bedroom I was going to convert into my office, and then realized that the slide that I had wasn't as deep as the one I'm in currently. It had a pretty good sized lip coming off of it, so you would kind of be sitting angled in a chair, which is going to be really difficult unless you kind of custom built something to accommodate for it. And there was also no outlets in that slide. You have to have power for all this to work, and the only way to get that to work was to run a drop cord through the corner of the slide out. And that would work, and that would probably work better than running through the camper itself. But you're always going to have that little air gap where you push the drop cord up to, and you're always going to have to be plugged out exterior on the power pole or whatever you're plugging into. So I chose not to go that route. The reason why I wanted to do that is because for security reasons, I can close in all of the windows in there and the doors, and nobody would know there's a gaming setup in there or whatever you want to call it. I ended up going up without here, and I'm okay with it. The slide's deeper. The floor transition isn't near as much as the one back there. There's also an outlet in the slide, so that was really awesome. And all of my blinds I can shut for security reasons. If I don't want nobody to see what I have in here, then that's how you do it. But if you're wanting to do something like this, I would look pretty good into detail on the layout of the camper you're going to be using and try to come up with the best scenario. There was about a 3-person couch right here that I removed, which is also how the dinner table connected to the whole rig here. And I wasn't very happy with the dinner table at all anyway. It was kind of like one of those lagoon mount type deals where it's you set a table on a pole and the pole slides into the seat. It works, but I have just as much room in front of my computer here, all in the same desk. So this is where I do my eating and everything at. Works out really good. One last thing that I want to speak about as far as the PC goes and the slide out and whatever you have it connected into, you want to make sure you have a power surge connector. And I have one down on the bottom down here that houses 90% dust and like 4 cables. But it keeps it from having any issues electrically. And I haven't had much going on here. I've had the power go off one time because there was an issue with one of the incoming poles coming in to power my whole thing up. That was the only issue I had. I haven't had any issues with the whole setup, thank God, so far. It's too much money to have issues with. You definitely want to make sure you have somewhere to plug one of those in and be able to utilize that. I did just think of one more thing I'd like to add to the list, and that is really plan your setup up and figure out what you're going to be using. For me, in my scenario, I have this variable height desk that I use. I love this thing. It's a really good depth. And what I'm getting at is all these things connected with a C-clamp onto the back of the desk really save you space. So my monitor is on a monitor mount right here. This big monitor has to have a heavy duty one, so it takes up a little bit more space, but you get what I mean. Being able to tuck everything as far back as you can, and still without hitting any of my blinds and everything, I can have all this stuff kind of in different levels and tiers on top of my desk without affecting much at all of the work area. I can eat dinner here. I can pull out a laptop and work right in front of my desktop, no problem. I can write. There's all kinds of things. That far into the desk, I kind of use it to store items like a headset, a controller. My dog shot collar stays over there usually. It's just really convenient. If you was to get into building a setup of your own, you would really appreciate planning it out and getting everything as compact as you can. Alright, so moving on to the later part of the video, I wanted to kind of give an update of the setup that I use. A few things have changed. I did end up going to a 2-monitor setup shortly after I made that last video. I just had to wait on me to finish getting all my stuff back from my previous house. But I did go with a regular straight monitor, which was in my last video, and then a vertical one beside it with no issues. I even had one more light connected over here that I ended up removing. I didn't use it that much. That one light can put off plenty of light for whatever I'm doing. The only benefit of the other light was like a second angle. Down under the desk, I ended up moving my little dolly that I built for my PC out away from the corner to help with airflow. A ton of cables back in there anyway, and I was having trouble whenever I put up the second monitor getting a display port cable to my second monitor. I didn't have nothing longer than 6 foot, and it was just being kind of a pain. If I raised my desk, it would unplug. So I moved the PC to the center down there, and it's just enough to where I can scoot under the table comfortably without hitting my knees on it. So I'm fine with it being down there like that. I ended up picking up a DJI Osmo Pocket 3, and I'm going to use it and POV the rest of the setup here. Okay, so first off, I got my little helpers down here. There's Max, there's Big Long Zola, and I'm pretty sure she kicked my PC and put it at an angle. But down here is what I was talking about putting the PC more so in the center versus jacked in the corner way over there. So that's the little transition I made. Also my big dusty power surge multi-connector thing down back in there, which also runs my light right over here and a little small desk fans tucked in there that comes really useful in the summer. So here is the PC. Not much has changed on that other than I gave it a bath the other day, so hopefully it'll run really smooth for a little while. Left hand side, I have a USB-C cable, the silver cable right here, just to, I think, maybe power or charge something on my desk at some time. I don't know why it's there right now. Also have my subwoofer down there for my audio system for my computer. Have the Series X right there that lives on top of the subwoofer, and it's just right where I can go up and down my desk and my headphone clamp holder does not rub it, and also those 2 cables stay plugged in. So it's perfect the way it sits. This is my HyperX headset that I've been using for years. I love these things, but I have since upgraded to something different. But this is still hanging here for occasional use on the Xbox. And this headphone mount right here, like $3 maybe, I don't know what it costs. Honestly, it might be a little more than that, but totally worth it. I love having that thing there, and I can get 2 on there too, so that is really cool. Up top, got my tripod that I use for my camera quite often. Most of the time, if I have it handheld, I'm using this one. I like it a lot. Also have a review on my channel of that if y'all want to see that. I have my SCUF controller with a little raised aim joystick, whatever you want to call it. Love that thing. This is the headset that I have recently converted to. It is a SteelSeries Pro version. I can't remember the name of it. Noctis Pro. I don't remember, honestly. I'll link it down in the description. But this thing, I really like it. A lot more than I thought I would. Very expensive, but it's a premium headset. Has a retractable mic here, and you can put a wind cover on it to help. And it also has interchangeable batteries. It comes with 2. And this unit right here is how you adjust all your settings and also change your chat volume, regular volume, inputs, all that different stuff. And on the side, it charges a battery in there. So you can essentially always have a charged battery. All you gotta do is flick this ear cup off on the side and change the battery out. Still using the same keyboard. My mouse, I think I went to the different one. It's the G502X. I love the 502s. I've used them for a very long time. Pretty oversized mouse mat here, and some paper here to take notes on and jot things down when I'm thinking about it for my build or any kind of list I need to make. So that is there. One of the largest changes was the ultra wide here. This thing is freaking awesome. I do wish, and I plan to have more room when I get back in my other desk, to have this maybe in front of me and then another monitor off to the side of it that I'll play Xbox off of. For some reason, just like most people, I prefer to play Xbox off of a 16:9 ratio, to where this is not doable. I do split the screen on this monitor and be able to half it for Xbox, which does get 16:9, but the quality of the image isn't as good as a dedicated monitor that I would like to have. I've tried it both ways. I've just had experience, and I like the experience better. This ultra wide is freaking awesome though, especially for like open world games, stuff like that. I did, right when I put this thing in here, I went through a Destiny 2 phase with one of my friends, and we played Destiny 2 on it, and it looks beautiful on this monitor. It is freaking cool. Although it does take a lot of power, and I ended up putting the 4090 in there. It's a liquid cooled version, closed loop, but that is what runs in my PC. And that is also, just a little note, that is also when my computer overheated that I told you about earlier in the video. So it has a lot to do with what it was pushing at the time, but not necessarily only heat. But I know that incorrect airflow also kind of maximized the situation, but that is another story. The last thing I want to show you is I upgraded to a different desk chair. This is the Cooler Master chair, and it's pretty comfortable. The pillow and then down below this little lumbar back support are super soft. They feel real good, and all of the hand things, the armrest, they're all kind of controllable. It's your average gaming chair, but I was using the mesh one for a while, and it's really situated for like an office setup, and I just prefer having the recline capabilities of something like this. So I have swapped. I kept my other chair to use in my shop or office or something later on down the road. So the chair was still in great shape. I just wanted to try something different. And for gaming, this is what I prefer. Here is the back of the chair. Looks like it's called the Caliber, if you're wondering. All right, so that is the tour of my updated setup. Hopefully very soon I get my building up and I can actually have a dedicated spot for all this and really have a lot more room. It is unbelievably cramped in here. Not to mention, when I got this new puppy, she's a pretty good sized dog and getting really big now. She has to have a extra large crate, which thankfully I have an RV big enough to get one in here, but dang, I had to eliminate other things. So I do have a torpedo heater in here that can go out here within a few weeks and actually be done with really cold weather around where I live. But I'm telling you, it's time for some more space. It's, anybody that's lived in a camper before knows. And this, like I said, it's a pretty good sized camper. But dang if it don't get too cluttery. Also, if you're still watching, thank you. I appreciate it. And if you had any kind of questions on this setup or any kind of future plans you might have and you want some insight about, let me know and I can do what I can to help you. And don't forget about the different tips I mentioned earlier in the video if you want to do a setup like this. It's really stuff to keep into consideration. Y'all have a good day. See ya.